Today I wanted to talk about the top 5 vintage cookbooks that I cooked from on this channel in 2024. The criteria was very loose here. You know, it has nothing to do with how many views each of these videos got or, you know, how many times I cooked from them or whatever. It's basically like, I really enjoyed cooking from these particular books. The recipes were very surprising. It was just kind of an enjoyable experience to use this book in a video. No particular order, you know, no really scientific backing on why I chose the ones that I chose. It's all by the feeling. It's all by the things that I liked about them. I'm gonna start with Betty Crocker's Good and Easy Cookbook. I actually cooked from this book twice this year, and I didn't realize it until I was getting ready for this video. I made a breakfast video with this particular cookbook, and then I also just did like 1950s recipes. This is the 1954 version of Betty Crocker's Good and Easy Cookbook. I also have a 1960s version that's like revised and different, etc. You know, they've like redone this book a few times, but this is the 1954 one. One of the reasons I especially liked this cookbook is in my most recent video where I used this book, the format was slightly different for me. I kind of tried something a little different in that I just chose random recipes from the book. A lot of times you'll notice I theme my videos quite a bit. It's like dinner ideas, breakfast ideas, tomato ideas, whatever. You know, it's like I'll take an ingredient and I'll theme it around that ingredient, or I'll theme it around a particular holiday or meal. Whereas this one, I was just like, I'm gonna choose 3 recipes. This is a 1950s video. It was very general. And it was just kind of, it made for like a very easygoing kind of thing for me. It was very easy to plan. I didn't have to try to like tie 3 recipes together in a more cohesive way than they all came from one book in the same decade. And that just made it kind of a more fun video for me almost. I think I wanna try that a little bit more in 2025. And you know, I'm always delighted by a Betty Crocker cookbook anyway. They have great illustrations, especially the 50s and 60s ones. You know, go back and watch those 2 videos. I'll link them in the description down below. But I talk a lot about like the different little illustrations and things like that in the book. The cover, the wire ring binding, you know I love a wire ring binding. And even the photographs, very colorful, very of that 1950s decade. Betty Crocker's Good and Easy Cookbook, definitely try to get a copy of this if you can. The recipes are in fact good and easy. The title of this book is a very good descriptor of what's inside. Well, the second book I'm going to talk about, I just gave it away a little bit when I said tomato recipes. And I'm talking about Better Homes and Gardens' all-time favorite vegetable recipes. I love Better Homes and Gardens cookbooks in general. I like the big like catch-all books, but I really like these little skinny ones too. They're very part of a theme, I guess. Vegetables in this case, or I've got, you know, cookies, casseroles, fondue. I have a lot of these books. This particular one is, I think, yes, 1977. And I used this in my tomato recipes video. And when I mentioned at the top of the video that I didn't choose these books based on video views, this is kind of what I'm talking about. This particular tomato video, like, it didn't do super great. It didn't do like as well in views as I kind of thought it would, but that was okay because the tomato recipes in this book are phenomenal. That soup, that tomato soup that I made from here, what was it exactly called? It's easy to find because the chapters are broken down by vegetable. Herbed fresh tomato soup. I still think about that soup. I cannot wait to like come into tomato season so I can get some fresh tomatoes and make a batch because it was that good. It was probably one of my most favorite, if not the favorite tomato soup recipe that I've ever made. In the middle of winter, like I think I actually did throw some tomatoes in the freezer that were kind of like from the summer, so I might try to make that again. I also made, I think they were like Veracruz tomatoes. Yes, Veracruz tomatoes. And this was more of a stuffed tomato dish. Holy cow, was that good. Earlier this year, I made a different stuffed tomato dish for a video that was also really good, and that kind of encouraged me to try these. And I was so happy. So this particular tomato is stuffed with bacon, onion, spinach, sour cream, and cheese, and kind of makes, I think, like a really good main dish. Something a little creative, something a little different, but something with a lot of flavor. And another thing I really like about this book, there are so many useful vegetable recipes in here, and each chapter is categorized by vegetable, I think in alphabetical order. We tend to stick to the same vegetable recipes over and over, I think, or sometimes, and you can prepare vegetables very simply and they're tasty and everything. Or if you want to take a vegetable and you want to beef it up, I guess, turn it into more of a main dish. This book really did that in the tomato chapter, I think. So let's see, we took a look at the 1950s, we took a look at the 1970s, now to the 1960s. So the third book that was in my top 5 vintage cookbook favorites this year, Women's Day Collector's Cookbook. And I used this book for my egg recipes video. Another video that although it didn't have as high of views as some of my other ones, it was very enjoyable. This was such an enjoyable cookbook to cook from, and I really liked the egg recipes I chose. I'm not even really positive like why I went with egg recipes, because egg recipes are like a very small part of this book. It is more of a book comprised of a variety of recipes that appeared in Women's Day magazine. So you have all kinds of things. You've got appetizers, main dishes, different kinds of meats, vegetables. I think there's even maybe like an outdoor cooking chapter in here, pies, desserts. It does have a little bit of everything. So I could see myself cooking from this cookbook again in 2025, planning a video just using this book and kind of working around it. We'll see. But the egg recipes I chose, I tried to choose things that I'd never tried before. I do that a lot, of course. I don't want to make the same things that I eat over and over again. I remember the Hungarian eggs. Oh, golden fleece. It was like baked, like a baked egg with cream cheese. All of these egg recipes were so good and easily incorporated into something that wasn't breakfast. That's kind of what I wanted to focus on. Eggs are associated a lot with breakfast time, but I wanted to make some dishes that you could have throughout the rest of the day with your dinner or as an appetizer or whatever. So this was a really good book to do that with, because I think more than even some of the other cookbooks that I've cooked from, this had like more interesting egg recipes in it. So usually if I'm planning a full day video, like a full day of meals, if I'm planning breakfast, I do start with the eggs chapter just to kind of see what's in there, because again, there's a strong association with breakfast. And that's kind of how I know that a lot of those egg chapters, like you kind of get a lot of the same things over and over in those books, but this one really had some different things in it, and that's why I had so much fun cooking from it. So you all really liked this video, and I was pleasantly surprised by the recipes. So this book is Stuffed Spuds. This is kind of a little bit more of a recent video. I think I actually got this book maybe this year at Half Price Books. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, I have to have it because I really like baked potatoes and I think they're super versatile. You can plan a lot of different like dinners, lunches and dinners around them. And even breakfast, as this book taught me, people do eat them for breakfast too, like a baked potato. I mean, I haven't tried some of the ones in here yet, but maybe I will. And this one is from the 80s. I think it's an 82. Yes, copyright 1982. And it's Stuffed Spuds 100 Meals in a Potato. And baked potatoes often show up on menus as like side dishes at restaurants. And I love those too. Just a big old baked potato with, butter, sour cream, salt, pepper, delicious. Loaded baked potato, even a little bit better. But you can really take a baked potato and make the main part of your meal, which I already knew because I always talk about that much beloved cafeteria lunch that I had that was like baked potato with different toppings. So broccoli cheese or taco meat. And I was like, oh yeah, it's probably gonna be stuff like that. I'm excited. I mean, I was even more excited when I started planning my baked potato video because so many of the recipes in here are very creative, things I never would have thought of. The pizza potato is really good. I kind of liked how they did that one a little differently, like where you smash it down flat. I think you could just put, pizza toppings on a baked potato and it'd be incredible. But this even took it a little bit of a step further. And then that chili relleno potato, like never would have come up with that on my own, but it was delicious. And then I think, I did the chicken Florentine too, all so creative. And that was just like scratching the surface of this book. There's 100 different baked potato meals in here that you can make, and I can't wait to explore more of them. And then finally, this might be controversial, but I'm gonna go with easy weeknight meals. This is a little Betty Crocker booklet. One of those types of booklets that you would pick up at a grocery store checkout, or you could also subscribe to these and have them sent to your home. And this is from the early 90s. Which year exactly? I wanna say 92. I don't have all of these memorized. I make a lot of videos. I can't keep all of it in my mind here. Yeah, this is 1992. 92. So I've had a bit of a change of heart with these booklets recently, especially in the last year. For a long time, I didn't really add a lot of these to my collection. And I think part of it is because, you know, this was from 1992. I was alive in 1992. When I first started making videos, I kind of had a personal rule for myself that the cookbook had to be older than I was in order for me to use it on my channel. And that is I made that up. That is a rule that I made up for myself. It's not a real thing. I have to tell myself that sometimes, that I'm actually like in control of certain things in my life or the content that I make. And it's like, oh, you can actually break out of these like fake rules that you make for yourself. The reason I said that it's kind of controversial is because people don't like to hear that 1992 is technically considered vintage. I know people have different definitions. You know, what you'll find is like anything 20 years or older, anything 30 years or older, 40 years or older, whatever. This book is 32 years old, is that correct? Yeah, this book is 32 years old. Before I started kind of getting more into these, I was saying like 40 years or older. You know, these types of books actually hold a lot of personal nostalgia for me, and I wanted to get more in touch with that this year. Even one of my more recent videos, my Christmas brunch video, the holiday brunch video, with the Gooseberry Patch book that I used. That was also from 1992. And I was 11 years old when these books came out in that year. So I grew up with them. And I'm like, you know what? Like, this is for me too. I'm allowed to feel nostalgic for these times. It doesn't have to be from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. I can go for some of the 80s and 90s books more now too. And I've really had a fun time doing that. Like I said, I wasn't collecting things like this for quite a while. I would just kind of like breeze over them. But the more that I've started to find these and look through them and have like memories of them, I've started to sort of like add more of them to my collection. I've picked them up a little bit more often, especially like the Christmas ones and the holiday ones. Those are really fun. You know, on top of all of that wordiness that I just gave you, like the reasons I even chose this book, the recipes in it are very good and they're easy. It seems like a lot of people are looking for easy dinner ideas. When I'm doing my keyword research and stuff like that for uploading videos, easy dinner ideas, that is up there. Those are the things that people want. And this book is just like full of easy dinner ideas, easy weeknight meals. That's exactly what it is, isn't it? So that's kind of like my reasoning behind choosing this particular book. I know people don't always like to hear like, oh, that year is vintage, whatever. I mean, technically I'm a vintage person. Even if I followed my original rule of 40 years or older, I'm older than 40 years old, so I'm vintage and I'm okay with that, and you should also be okay with that. So that was my little recap. I just wanted to make one of these types of videos. I've not done it exactly this way before, but I just thought it was kind of fun to look back on this entire year and see what I've done, see which books, you know, I had the most fun with. I hope you had a wonderful holiday season. I hope you have a happy new year, and I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I make videos about food, vintage cookbooks, and retro recipes every week. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.